Hello, Radiant Leo, do you feel it too? That quiet but undeniable pull. Like the universe is reaching out to you right now, whispering, this is your lucky day. Because it is. And you didn't find this video by accident. This message found you. You're watching Eternal Mindfulness, and today's horoscope isn't just a reading. It's a cosmic wake-up call, one crafted for a soul like yours, bold enough to lead, but tired of carrying weight that was never yours to begin with. You see, Leo, your name literally means the lion, but lately you've been fighting battles that no one else sees. Smiling in crowds, but feeling quietly burnt out. Still showing up for others, even when no one shows up for you. So let me ask you this, what if everything is finally aligning for you, not against you? What if today is not just another day, but the very moment your energy begins to shift toward real wealth, real peace, real love? That's the energy we're stepping into. And this video is your invitation to claim it. In the next few minutes, we're going to explore the sacred signs and subtle shifts guiding your path right now. You'll learn why you've been feeling so off balance, what the universe is trying to move out of your way, and how to finally align with the abundance that's already trying to reach you. But first, I want to acknowledge you. Thank you for being here. I truly mean that. Every like, every comment, every soul that subscribes to Eternal Mindfulness. You are not just supporting this channel, you are becoming part of a spiritual ecosystem that's rooted in truth, light, and healing. Your presence fuels this mission. And your energy matters. So let me take a moment to say, I see you. I feel your heart. And whether you're here out of curiosity, heartbreak, exhaustion, or quiet hope, your spirit brought you to the right place. Now, before we dive into the deep astrology, let's pause. Because this is bigger than predictions. This is about remembrance. You didn't come here to be fixed. You came to remember who you truly are. And in case no one told you today, you are not falling behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. You are exactly where you're meant to be, and something extraordinary is preparing to unfold. So breathe. Drop your shoulders. Open your heart. And let this be the moment you allow clarity, wealth, freedom, and healing to enter without resistance. I promise you, the revelations in this reading will speak directly to your soul. And if you stay with me until the very end, you'll leave this video not just informed, but transformed. So tell me, my beautiful Leo soul, what brought you here today? Was it a whisper? A dream? A restlessness in your spirit? Comment below and claim it, because your energy is activating something divine. Let's begin. Sometimes the deepest form of strength isn't in holding on, but in having the clarity to let go. When we look at your energy right now, Leo, it's as if you've been carrying an invisible weight, one that perhaps even you haven't been fully aware of. The tarot card that speaks here, Ten of Wands, symbolizes the effort of pushing forward under burdens that no longer serve your growth. You may be doing everything right on the surface, showing up, giving your best, performing, leading. But within, there's a quiet exhaustion, a subtle resistance, a heaviness that doesn't align with the brilliance you were born to radiate. And the truth is, no one was meant to carry the entire world alone, not even you. This is not about failure. This is about wisdom. There comes a time when the lion doesn't need to roar to assert its power, it simply walks away from what drains it. And this moment in your life is asking you to do exactly that. It's not about quitting. It's about choosing peace over pride. You've proven yourself enough. What you're being asked to do now is far more subtle and sacred: to soften. To release the compulsion to fix everything, be everything, save everyone. There is an intelligence in surrender that is often misunderstood. But surrender does not mean giving up. It means clearing space for something more aligned to find you. Numerology brings us the number 9 at this phase, a number that signals endings, completions, and the closure of karmic patterns. But rather than seeing this as a finale, it's more accurate to call it a sacred pause. Think of it like the moment just before dawn. The air stills, the night holds its breath, and then, suddenly, light breaks. This is where you are. You're in that stillness. And in this stillness, you are being guided to consciously release what no longer vibrates at the frequency of your next becoming. Old roles, outdated beliefs, unspoken grief. Even the identities you've wrapped around your pain, these too are asking to be set free. There's a teaching about the river and the rock. Water, in all its softness, wears away stone, not through force, but persistence. That's the kind of transformation being offered to you now. Not by fighting harder, but by softening into your natural state of flow. And in that, Leo, you rediscover your true power, not one that comes from resistance, but from resonance. Imagine what your life could feel like if you weren't constantly managing, proving, or protecting. Imagine the vitality, the joy, the creativity that could return when your energy isn't tied up in things that no longer reflect your soul's truth. This process may feel unfamiliar. In a world that praises pushing through, letting go can feel like disobedience. But it's not. It's alignment. And the quiet miracle is this: when you release what doesn't belong, you begin to reclaim what always has. You reconnect with your center, not the version of you shaped by others' expectations, but the one that simply is. That center is where peace lives. Where clarity arises naturally. Where answers don't need to be chased, because they arrive when the noise stops. That noise, Leo, may have looked like the constant need to perform, to be the hero, to hide your pain behind pride. But now, the universe is inviting you to unlearn those stories. To breathe deeper. To allow yourself to feel. To grieve what needs to be grieved. And then, to step forward, not from a place of performance, but from presence. There is no fire brighter than that which burns clean. No heart more magnetic than the one that loves without fear. And no journey more rewarding than the one you walk while finally setting down the weight that was never yours to carry. Let this be the turning point. Not with fanfare, but with grace. Let this be the moment you remember, you are already enough, even without the armor. And that the more you release, the lighter you become. The lighter you become, the higher you rise. There's a particular kind of fatigue that comes not from action, but from efforting, the invisible grind of constantly trying to measure up, prove your worth, or manifest results through sheer force. And Leo, as radiant and capable as you are, you may have fallen into this pattern without even realizing it. When your identity is built on being the one who leads, inspires, or carries the weight for others, it can feel almost unnatural to just be. But here's the deeper truth. The most magnetic version of you doesn't arise from effort. It arises from alignment. In your chart, Leo rules the heart. It's not just about courage or charisma. It's about authentic expression, when your words, actions, and energy pulse in rhythm with who you truly are. And when you deviate from that alignment, when you push too hard to control or achieve, your vitality begins to dim. That's why the energy of this moment is inviting you into a softer, subtler kind of mastery. It's not about chasing abundance, it's about allowing it to meet you when you return to your natural frequency. The tarot archetypes you've drawn, King of Pentacles and Page of Cups, tell a powerful story when viewed together. The king is grounded, sovereign, abundant without strain. He represents maturity in material matters, but also a deep understanding that wealth is cultivated, not coerced. The page, on the other hand, is open, innocent, creative, a reminder that beginnings flourish not in noise, but in gentle curiosity. Together, they suggest this: you are stepping into a new relationship with money and career, not one driven by scarcity or ego, but by grounded vision and emotional honesty. This is where your work and your well-being begin to intertwine. When the body is tired, the mind grows cloudy, and the spirit dims. And when you ignore your body's messages, when you treat rest as a luxury instead of a foundation, your external success begins to crumble quietly beneath the surface. That's why real abundance starts with something as seemingly simple as rest. Deep, nourishing rest. Not just sleep, but also silence. Not just breaks, but boundaries. In philosophies that honor impermanence, it's taught that true clarity comes from stillness. That when you stop forcing the river, you begin to float. And from that state, your decisions become wiser, your intuition sharper, and your energy more sustainable. Supporting your adrenal system, for example, isn't just about biology, it's an act of reverence for the vessel that carries your fire. By restoring balance in your body, through magnesium, quality sleep, conscious movement, or limiting stimulants, you begin to restore the rhythm of your nervous system. And when your nervous system is no longer in survival mode, you re-enter the frequency of creativity, confidence, and trust. That's where your abundance lives, not in the endless hustle, but in the spaces between. You might be tempted to believe that the more you push, the faster results will come. But what if the opposite is true? What if the next chapter of your wealth is unlocked by ease, not effort? That's not passivity. That's precision. Think of the archer who draws back the bowstring, not frantically, but with patient strength. That's the energy you're being asked to channel now. Focused. Clear. Alive. The colors around you, gold and olive, aren't just aesthetically powerful. Gold amplifies your natural solar energy, enhancing confidence and decisiveness. Olive brings harmony between heart and mind, reminding you that practicality and intuition aren't at odds, they are collaborators in conscious creation. When you embody both, you become a vessel not just for financial wealth, but for meaningful, integrated success. The numbers whisper too: 17 for hope and divine timing, 1 for leadership and initiation, and 8, the number of infinity, for enduring stability. Together, they don't just signal a lucky moment. They mark a pivotal turning point in how you relate to value, your value, the value you bring to the world, and the way value returns to you. Let this be your invitation to reclaim your throne, not through resistance, but through recalibration. You don't have to exhaust yourself to be worthy. You don't need to shrink to be safe. You simply need to trust that when your energy is clear, your reality begins to reflect that clarity. You don't manifest from striving. You manifest from truth. And when that truth is honored, prosperity becomes inevitable. Sometimes the greatest act of courage isn't found in giving love, it's in allowing yourself to receive it without armor. For Leo, a sign ruled by the heart and the sun, love is rarely a casual experience. It burns bright, it commits deeply, and it expects loyalty with an almost sacred intensity. But when that trust is broken, when someone mishandles the tenderness you offered so freely, something within you closes, not out of bitterness, but as a means of self-preservation. That's where so many lions find themselves today, surrounded by people, admired even, yet emotionally guarded. Not because they've stopped believing in love, but because they've learned how painful it can be when love isn't reciprocated with care. The appearance of the reverse Three of Swords at this point in your journey doesn't mean you're weak, broken, or emotionally stuck. Quite the opposite. It's a gentle mirror, reflecting the healing that has already begun, an invitation to tend to what still aches without judging it. This card in reverse often signals that while the worst is behind you, the residue of heartache remains, not as punishment but as a teacher. Pain, when met with presence instead of resistance, has the ability to soften what we've hardened. And for you, Leo, this softening isn't regression, it's liberation. There's a concept that speaks of the heart as a lotus, capable of blooming in even the murkiest waters. It is said that a lotus does not bloom by escaping the mud, but by growing through it. The same is true for your heart. The love you're seeking now won't arrive because you've become untouchable. It will find you when you become available, truly available, to experience love without filtering it through the lens of fear or past betrayal. And that requires a different kind of strength. The kind that doesn't test others before trusting them, but that trusts itself enough to know, if something is not right for me, I will feel it. I will honor it. I will walk away if needed. And until then, I will stay open. When we talk about relationships, we often focus on the other. But the law of resonance reminds us that we don't attract what we want. We attract what we believe we deserve and what we're energetically aligned with. That's why the true work of calling in deep love starts with creating safety within. When your nervous system, your thoughts, your inner dialogue are rooted in compassion and self-trust, you begin to magnetize connections that reflect that same stability. You no longer chase. You no longer shrink. You no longer ask love to prove itself through sacrifice. Instead, you simply become the frequency of what you wish to receive. If you're currently single, don't rush to fill the silence. There is wisdom in this pause. A soul connection is on its way, not one built on drama or urgency, but on peace, understanding, and shared vision. Trust that the delay is protection. Trust that the space between now and then is where your emotional ecosystem is being rewired to hold something more expansive. And if you're already in a relationship, this is a moment of truth. Not necessarily a confrontation, but a recalibration. Can you speak more vulnerably? Can you listen without defending? Can you meet your partner where they are, not where you wish they'd be? Love doesn't flourish because people are perfect, It thrives when people feel safe enough to be seen fully. Let your mantra be simple. I am worthy of love not because I've done everything right, but because I am real. Let that truth settle into your bones. Because it's not your perfection that makes you lovable, it's your presence. Your ability to stay soft without losing your fire. Your willingness to be open, even after heartbreak. And your choice, over and over, to believe that real connection is not only possible, but on its way. Ask yourself gently, am I loving from my center, or from my fear of being alone? Am I expressing, or am I defending? Then offer yourself a moment of silence, not to fix, but to feel. Because in that stillness, clarity arises. And in that clarity, the right people find you, not because you chased them, but because you finally became still enough to be found. Transformation doesn't wait for perfect timing. It begins the moment you decide to show up differently, when you shift your energy from wishing to doing, from delay to momentum. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun and driven by vision, inspiration flows naturally. But sometimes, that spark needs to be anchored with intention. That's where the Ace of Wands steps in, a card that doesn't just whisper potential, it ignites it. This energy is about following the fire in your gut, not waiting for external signs to validate your readiness. If you feel it, it's time. There's something deeply powerful about realizing that action doesn't have to be massive to be meaningful. In fact, it's often the smallest shifts, done with clarity and consistency, that ripple out into the most dramatic changes. You might think you need to overhaul your entire life to call in abundance, but in truth, your energy recalibrates the moment you take one conscious step in a new direction. The question is not, what am I waiting for, but what's already within my control that I've been ignoring? This is where your daily choices become sacred. A simple act, like writing down 3 things you're grateful for before bed, may seem inconsequential. But energetically, it signals that you're aligning with a higher vibrational field, one where receiving becomes effortless because your frequency is no longer clogged with resistance. When you begin your day with a mantra like, I shape reality with my beliefs, emotions, and loving actions, you're not just setting an intention, you're training your mind to perceive opportunities instead of obstacles. That mindset is magnetic. And don't underestimate the power of supporting yourself in tangible ways. Making a health appointment, updating your resume, sending a thank you text, these are acts of self-respect that tell the universe, I'm ready. I value myself. I take my growth seriously. In a world constantly pulling you toward distraction and emotional reactivity, these grounded choices act as anchors. They stabilize your internal landscape so that your external world can respond in kind. The presence of the number 33 during this period is not random. This is what's known in numerology as a master number, one that carries the frequency of altruistic leadership, inner clarity, and unconditional expression. It's often associated with those who are meant to inspire others not through status, but through embodiment. In other words, Leo, your job isn't to convince anyone of your worth. Your job is to live so fully in your truth that others feel safe to do the same. But how can you model that if you're not giving yourself permission to act on your own dreams? There's a phrase that says, if you want to know your future, look at your habits. Not your hopes. Not your intentions. Your habits. Because what you do repeatedly becomes who you are energetically. And your energy, more than anything, is what magnetizes or repels your reality. That's why this moment isn't asking you for perfection. It's asking for presence. One clear choice. One elevated response. One loving commitment to act today like your future is already unfolding in your favor. From a perspective rooted in mindfulness, we're taught that the present moment is the only field where transformation actually happens. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, just here. Just now. The seed of change exists in this exact breath, and the soil it needs is your willingness. When you meet the moment with full awareness, even a small action becomes holy. It becomes the moment where karma is softened and possibility expands. So if you've been waiting for a lucky day, hear this: it's not marked on a calendar, it's the day you say yes to yourself. It's the day you stop rehearsing your limitations and start living your potential. And it can begin right now. You weren't born to be background noise in someone else's story. You were born to lead, to light the path, to bring warmth and vitality to the spaces you occupy. That power, Leo, doesn't live in grand gestures. It lives in your daily courage to choose a higher path. Again and again. Until your life becomes a reflection of the fire you chose not to let die. If you're still here, still with me, still breathing through these words, then I know something inside you has stirred. Maybe it's a whisper. Maybe it's a quiet ache that finally found a name. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the first time in a long time you've let yourself soften enough to believe that more is possible for you. And it is. More peace. More clarity. More ease. More joy. But not because you push harder, hustle faster, or fix yourself into some version of worthy. No. Simply because you choose to come home to who you truly are, without apology. Leo, your fire has never been in question. Your brilliance is undeniable. But brilliance alone isn't the goal. What matters now is how gently you hold that light, especially when no one's looking. You don't need to roar to be powerful. You don't need to prove anything to earn rest, love, or abundance. The idea that you must constantly perform to receive is one of the oldest and most dangerous myths you've carried. And it's time to put it down. So let me ask you, what would shift if you believed that you, exactly as you are already enough? What would open if you stopped performing and started simply existing from a place of trust? What possibilities might appear, not when you chase them, but when you become still enough to receive them? You've learned so much in your journey. You've worked through shadows, carried burdens that were never yours, shown up for others when you barely had anything left for yourself. And through it all, you've quietly longed to feel chosen. Safe. Seen. But today, I want you to know this: you don't have to wait for someone else to choose you anymore. You get to choose yourself. And when you do, when you fully stand in the truth that you are already worthy, everything around you begins to reflect that truth back. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to wait for permission. The shift begins the moment you say, enough. Enough with the overthinking. Enough with the guilt. Enough with the noise. And in that space, where the proving stops, your true power begins to speak, not with volume, but with unwavering certainty. Let this video be more than background sound. Let it be a turning point. What's one thing, Just one, you can do today that honors your energy. Can you rest without guilt? Speak with kindness to yourself. Write down a dream you've been putting off and take one small step toward it. You don't have to change everything overnight. But you do have to begin. Because the universe can only meet you where you're willing to meet yourself. And if you feel that flicker of hope rising again, if something inside you is saying, yes, yes to softness, yes to freedom, yes to alignment, then I invite you to anchor that feeling. Right here. Right now. Comment below and claim it. I choose myself. I allow abundance. I am enough. Right now. And if this message has resonated, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our Eternal Mindfulness family, or sharing it with someone who needs to be reminded of their light. Your energy matters. Your support fuels this work. And every single action you take, no matter how small, sends a wave of clarity into the collective. Leo, you were never meant to be dimmed. You were never meant to shrink to fit someone else's comfort. You came here to lead, to warm, to uplift, and the world needs your fire now more than ever. But it begins not with more effort, but with more trust. Not with strategy, but with sincerity. You don't need to earn your place here. You are the place. You are the light. So let yourself shine, not because you've proven anything, but because you've finally remembered, you were always worthy of it.